WIBTA. If I walk my daughter down the aisle at her wedding when she didn't ask my husband, her stepdad, my daughter asked me to walk her down the aisle, which was a deeply meaningful moment for both of us. My husband is hurt that he wasn't included and feels left out of the wedding. He wants me to insist he be part of the walk or refuse to do it. I told him I can't let my daughter down, and this moment is special to both of us. I have 2 children with my late ex Colin. My son is now 27, and my daughter is now 25. Colin and I broke up while I was pregnant with our daughter, but he remained a part of their lives until his passing just 6 months after our daughter was born. We hadn't worked out as partners, but we got along okay. Just very different people who couldn't make a relationship work and had kids very early in our relationship. Colin's family were in my children's lives from the start and remained a part of their lives long after he was gone. We never got along, but they adored my children, and my children adored them in return. Their favorite thing was the week they spent with his family each summer. When my daughter was 7 and my son was 9, I met my husband. We married after 2.5 years of dating, and we had already lived together for a year. My husband has no children of his own. We had none together. He was a very loving stepdad to my kids. My kids and him have a nice relationship, but neither of them call him dad, and neither wanted to be adopted by him, which did come up a year into our marriage. He asked. I wanted to find out what the children wanted and spoke to them. They said no. This was not something they later asked for or wanted. My daughter is getting married next year, and she asked me if I would walk her down the aisle. I immediately said yes, and was so moved by the fact she felt I was the best and only person for the job. She even told me how much it meant to her that I never erased her dad when we weren't even together when he passed. She said I always put them first, and I had been the best mom. I cried so hard. She asked her brother to dance with her in honor of their dad. My husband was upset he wasn't asked to walk her alongside me, and he was hurt that I accepted without suggesting we should both do it. I explained that my daughter had her reasons to ask me. Then he mentioned the dance in honor of her dad and how she wasn't even doing that with him. I told him I was sorry he was feeling so hurt. He told me he felt like all the little things she asked him to do were just as a way to keep the peace instead of her truly wanting him to have a role in her wedding. I'm still not sure what these things were, and I did ask, but he wasn't happy about them. He told me I should take a stand and insist he be included, or I don't walk her down the aisle. I told him I wasn't willing to let my daughter down or myself. I told him it was very special to me and my daughter. He told me I'm not honoring our vows if I do this. WIBTA, if I walk her down the aisle. Relevant comments. Commenter, completely NTA. For my wedding, I asked my mother to be my matron of honor because frankly, she was an incredible mother. My parents were separated since I was a child. Dad walked me down the aisle, but I wanted a special place for Mom. If this is how your daughter wants to honor you at her wedding, you should let her and know how special your relationship is. Ask your husband, if he were to do this, what role he thinks you should have. I'm genuinely curious as to his logic here. OP. He mentioned that she could have asked us both to do it, that we could share the role. Other than that, he didn't suggest anything else I should do. Commenter. Frankly, I can't imagine how accepting this leads him to conclude that you're not honoring your wedding vows. He's probably feeling hurt, and in your shoes, I'd give it a day or two before discussing it further. I hope you can resolve this, because I'm so sad such a sweet moment for you has any negativity. OP. He believes it's not honoring our wedding vows because I'm allowing him to be excluded from such a big moment for my daughter. Even though he is invited, he feels like he should be a part of the wedding in a bigger way after all the years of being her stepdad. Commenter. But he's not excluded. He doesn't get the visibility of playing the traditional father roles. Frankly, he is not, so why is he so pressed? OP. Exactly. He's not, but he feels it. Commenter. Absolutely NTA. Please do not give in to your hubby. This is something you need to do for your daughter. Story 2. AITA for calling a coworker snarky when she said I gained weight. F27, started taking weight loss meds this year. I wasn't really obese, but I was very overweight for quite a while. Since then, I lost about 70 pounds. Started working out and really improved my mental health and self-esteem. Last week, I went for lunch with a coworker and bumped into my SIL, who knew about my weight loss but didn't see me in person since I started the process. She congratulated me on it and went about her day. My coworker asked B what she was congratulating me on, and I said that it was about my weight loss, to which she replied, "Oh, she was being polite then, because I think you actually gained a few pounds recently, didn't you?" That obviously made me confused, LOL, and said it was a bit snarky to say something like that, even if I actually had gained weight, which I didn't. I don't think it's a polite comment at all. My coworker finished with, "Well, I'm sorry if your fishing for compliment strategy didn't work on me." I'm very confused about this because even though she isn't my best friend or anything, we usually hang out at lunch or coffee breaks and get along really well. Maybe I offended her telling her it was snarky? Ada. Relevant comments. Commenter. Let me guess. Coworker is chubby and feels threatened by your weight loss. OP. She has a similar body type to the one I have now. Maybe she just thought of me as a safe fat friend and doesn't like the fact she can no longer look skinnier by comparison. Commenter. Call her out on it and tell her to stop projecting her insecurities onto you because it isn't a good look. Commenter, NTA, your coworker seems pretty unhinged. Yes, her first comment was out of line, unnecessary, and flat out rude. Her second comment exposed some obvious resentment she has towards you with the weight loss, suggesting she thinks you've been fishing for compliments, perhaps around the office. To me then, this was not a slip of the tongue or a comment she didn't realize was rude. It actually relates to feelings of animosity that she has towards you. That makes her toxic and harmful, in my eyes at least, and she's done you a huge favor by letting you know her real feelings on the matter. Time to keep her at arm's length. You were not wrong for letting her know you found her original comment offensive. Story 3. I destroyed my relationship with my ex-fiancé, and it's my fault. I know this is my fault no matter what my mother did. I can't push all the blame onto her. I'm posting anonymously instead of with my regular account because my own social media has done enough damage. I made a mistake. My ex-fiancé did not have a good upbringing. Her parents were family bloggers. Her parents had their own website and a blog where they shared every detail of their lives. If my ex-fiancé and her brothers were born just a little bit later on, her parents would have had them on social media too. My ex-fiancé did not have any privacy when she was growing up. Every detail of the family and their lives was shared, no matter how embarrassing it was. Her parents posted thousands of pictures over the years. If social media existed like it does now, they would have had that too. On top of that, her parents spent all their time running the website and blog to bring in money, so all the parenting of her brothers was put on her. She was responsible for cooking, laundry, homeschooling, and everything to look after her brothers. Her parents didn't care that she was a kid. They said it had to be done. Her and her brothers were pulled out of school when the blog started growing, and she was responsible for teaching them. Her parents said there was a gap in the market for families who weren't religious who blog and homeschool. Everything revolved around the website and blog. My ex-fiancé doesn't talk to her family. Even her brothers sided with her parents. The blog stopped because her and her brothers are all adults now. But back before she left her family, her parents were still active on social media, especially about their grandchildren, and so are her brothers. My ex-fiancé wants nothing to do with that. She went to therapy for years to deal with the damage her upbringing did. I met her years after she left her family. We met at a meetup for people who don't want kids. She doesn't have social media and refuses to have her picture or anything about her online. I have social media, but she said it was fine as long as I didn't post about her. My mother is very active online and on social media. She never posted anything about my ex-fiancé because I told her it was not allowed. This is where I made a mistake. In the lead up to our wedding, my mother was asking to post about our engagement and our wedding. I didn't agree at first. Eventually, I agreed. I thought there would be no harm in one post. Ultimately, it's my fault. It was on me to keep the boundary, not my mother. I sent her a picture of my ex-fiancé from when we traveled to the United States to New York with my brother, his wife, and my niece and nephew. We got engaged while we were there. I sent my mother one picture and allowed her to post it and mention the wedding. When my ex-fiancé found out, she cried. She said I hurt her worse than anyone else ever has. She ended our relationship and removed herself from my life. I have no excuse for what I did. It's not my mother's fault because I allowed it, even though I knew how my ex-fiancé felt. Our wedding was supposed to be in 6 days. Instead, she ended things between us. She said I destroyed her. She said she doesn't want to see me or talk to me. I don't even know why I did it. My mother convinced me, but it was up to me to say no. I didn't. I destroyed my relationship and the best thing that ever happened to me. Relevant comments. Commenter. Ooh, that is a good question. Why did you do it? I mean, you could have asked your fiancé. Why didn't you? I assume you thought you knew her answer, but still you didn't even give her the option. You sound like you told your mom no, but she kept asking. Why didn't she take your no? You should explore that. Commenter. Because deep down, he thought her hang-up about social media was trivial. There are no mistakes in intentional choices when you dismiss boundaries that have been clearly defined. And that speaks volumes to the lack of respect he ultimately felt for his partner, because he couldn't get his head out of his own ass about not understanding her trauma that has her so staunchly against social media. Commenter. Because you knew your ex had this boundary. She ended it because something as fickle as a social media post was more important to you than respecting her boundaries. Your mother already knew your ex didn't want to be on social media. You knew it, and yet she still asked, and you still have your approval. Story 4. Ada for making my pregnant Sil cry when she kept asking why I changed my name. My brother, M30, is married to Haley, F29, and they're expecting a baby together. Last year, I, F17, officially changed my first name from Evelyn to Indy, which was a nickname form of my original middle name. My parents gave in after realizing how serious I was about being Indy and how I was not warming up to or growing into Evelyn. My brother and Haley want an older vintage name for their baby, and Haley asked me about 5 months ago why I disliked Evelyn enough to change the name. At the time, she brought up how popular the name has become and how vintage is back. I told her I didn't like vintage names, and to me it sounded really really old-fashioned. I told her the popularity didn't influence my decision. She wanted to know my reason for disliking older names and why I liked something like Indy instead. I didn't mind her asking this first time. She brought it up again a week later and she asked the same question and pressed more for why. She asked a third and a fourth time. I gave her the same answer and asked her why she kept asking me. I told her my answer wasn't going to change. By the seventh time she asked, she admitted she was worried her baby would hate having an older name and wanted to figure out what she could do to prevent what happened with me from happening to her. She also said she'd like me to rethink my name because she thought Evelyn was beautiful and she was sad I had chosen something like Indy over it. I asked her to stop so many times already, and I even asked my brother to stop her. He told me I needed to understand it was the hormones. I can easily say she has asked me this more than 25 times by now. I'm not exaggerating that number either. 2 weeks ago, when she brought it up again, she felt like I had made a mistake changing my name and how 30-year-old me wouldn't be so against Evelyn. I told her 30-year-old me could deal with it if that happens. She told me I didn't really have a good reason to like the name, and Indy seemed like the kind of name someone young likes, but not someone older. Then yesterday happened, and I kind of lost my temper. She started out asking the same stuff, and the baby is almost ready to be born, so I know it's coming to an end, but she asked me to really think about why and help her, because she couldn't figure out what she'd do differently than my parents did. Then she said they really shouldn't have let me change my name so young. I snapped, and I told her to stop asking me the same question because my answer won't change, and her comments are not changing my mind because I don't like old-fashioned names. I told her I think they're awful, and I'm sick and tired of hearing about how much better they are, and having her try to make me find a reason she finds acceptable. I told her just like she hates Indy, I hate Evelyn, and she needs to let it fucking go already. She burst into tears, and my brother got so mad at me. My parents were also like, why did I have to speak to her so harshly? Ada? Relevant comments. Commenter: if you reacted like this the very first time she asked, then you'd be a bit of an AH. But after months of her asking you the same thing over and over and over, your reaction is justified. I hate the "you must understand it's the pregnancy hormones" spiel. Being pregnant doesn't give you a free pass to be an AH. NTA commenter: I was thinking the same. Like, being anxious would be one thing, but pretty much fighting me over my own name for months is so weird. I know she wants me to change my answer, but I won't. I felt the same way for years. Commenter: I've had a friend who projected like crazy. She just started a new diet, only eating once a day or something like that, and told me that it would improve my life as well. The thing is, I listened to her talking about how it helped her and the generally reported benefits, but I told her that it wasn't for me. I've later even got told by my doctor that for my stomach, I shouldn't do that. My friend took this as a personal attack that I disagreed with her and her lifestyle. She got really nasty about it, because in her mind, if everybody doesn't agree with her way of living, it means her life is wrong. So I can see that reaction in OP's SIL. It's not rational, and it's not meant personally. It's just this deep fear of not living life right. Luckily for me, I let that friendship go. But being family, this sounds like a deeper problem Sil has to address, and everyone else has to stop enabling her. Relevant comments. Commenter: you need to contact a lawyer, if you haven't already, to ensure your will won't end up in a court after you pass. Do it now, while you're still of legally sound mind. Someone else said deliberately give your stepsister X amount of dollars and say, yes, I intended to give this much money to stepsister. A good lawyer will set up your finances so your wishes can be followed. My husband passed from pancreatic cancer, like you, found at stage 4. We scrambled in his last months to take care of financial things, government stuff, funeral arrangement, computer things, get all assets in both names. He had 2 vehicles in his name, get everything set up with the bank, all institutions. So when he did pass, there was simply fewer places where I had to present a death certificate. Presenting that certificate had me almost melting down every time I had to show it. It was like burying him repeatedly. I'm sorry this has happened to you. It's a terrible disease. I really don't know of any particular words of comfort. I'm not sure there are any. Commenter: NTA: she wasn't entitled to your father's assets, and she isn't entitled to your assets. Add to that she wished you a painful death, and I am very happy she doesn't benefit from getting her wish. I hope it goes as painless as possible, and wish you smooth sailing with the practical things. Remember to either write "I leave name of stepsister nothing" or $1 or whatever, so she can't contest it and say you forgot her. Good luck. OP: haha, I would love to write "I leave my stepsister $150 to book a first visit with a psychiatrist." Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you enjoyed our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with our latest ones. Have a great day.